In this segment of the videos, we'll go through family data and accounting items that you'd probably need to address at the beginning of the year. In terms of family data items, the most important thing would probably be the school close dates for the coming year. So under Procare Home, Configuration System, under Data Management and Scheduling, you have your school close dates for your particular center. So I'm going to double click. You'd go through here and put in all of the close dates that you have in the coming year. So I've got New Year's and so on. I'm just going to enter New Year. When you close this on any schedule that you produce in Procare during that year, the schedule will know that you are closed that day. So it would show that a child was, for instance, scheduled on 1/1. And also, if you're billing based on schedule, you would not be billing for that day. In terms of family data specifically, that would be about it. For family accounting, you've got your reports, and on your reports, you'll be showing your tax ID, and you'll also be showing the school information. If you need to enter the tax ID, that would once again be in that same way that we got Procare Home, Configuration System. This time you'd go to Locations and Users. I'm double-clicking on Regions and Schools. At my region, I'm going straight down. If my tax ID number was not here, I would enter it, and then I'd go ahead and save it. If some of the information on the statements looks incorrect in terms of your school information, I'm going to exit. That information is actually under the school name itself. I'd go straight down to edit. Maybe the director's name was incorrect. And this is where the information on the top of the customer statement comes from in terms of the center. So if you need to correct it or make any changes, this would be it, including logos. I'm going to exit out. And now we'll go over to address the family accounting items in there. In family accounting items, the biggest thing that you probably need to do is generate some customer tax summaries, or we'll just call them an end-of-year statement. And to do that, the report that's going to be run would be under Reports, Standard Reports, and you'll go under Family Accounting, and you're looking for the account statements. Normally, you might run a standard customer statement, but this is going to have every single line by line for the entire year. What you'd probably want to give them instead is the charge credit summary without balance. You'd run that for the year that you needed it. And the advantage of this report, I'll maximize this a little bit, is that it just shows the summary of any one type of charge. So this could have been quite a number of tuition toddler charges, totaling that. There's our additional charges, any credits. And down here, payment by check, payment tuition express. This could represent 20 checks and 30 tuition express point of sale credit card payments. But it's just summarized neatly for the parent. Rather than send this paper to absolutely everybody, a better option is to exit out of here and email the statements to all of the parents who do have email addresses. So to do that, normally I would just set up my email. The email is going to default to whatever you have on the account, so I would change my filter beforehand in case you had taken a family that you had charged during the year and then hid. I'm going to change my filter to show all accounts. I'm going to exit out. Now I'm going to go to email statements, and I'm going to do Functions, Family Accounting, Email Account Statements. And in here, now I've got everybody, including people that I haven't charged for quite a while. So to reduce this, I'm going to say only include accounts that have ledger activity in the specified date range. So I'm going to specify the year, and then I'm going to flag that. And I'm only going to get people who had some type of activity in the year that you're running the report. The standard customer statement is not what I'm running. Again, I'd be running the charge credit summary without balance. You could put a message in here. This is going to be in the attached PDF. I don't think I'd put anything in there. However, on here, this is the body of the message they'd get. And I might do something instead like 2020 end of year statement, or whatever you want to put in there. In here, put in whatever message you'd like again, and I would put something like the attached PDF so that they don't call you later and say they didn't see what was on the report. It's going to be an attachment to the email. You'd click on Next, and you'd simply flag everybody that appears unless you didn't want to send it to them. There is an option down here for record in customer log. This is only going to record a one-liner that you did send an email that had the title of end of year. It's not going to have the actual email content. So you're going to flag this, send them off, and you'd be done with all the parents who have email. For the parents that don't have email, what you could do is you could make a tracking item of something like needs paper statements, and then you could filter by that. So that when you go to run the reports for just those people, you'd go to Reports, Standard Reports. It's the same report we were just in. However, you could filter by the tracking item that you would have already made. And I'm going to go to Account Tracking, and I made one called Wants Paper Statements, and I've got a few of my parents flagged as wanting paper statements. And I want to do one other thing. I want to make sure, in case any of them had already been hidden, I'm going to say all accounts that want paper statements. I'm going to exit out. I'm going to run it for the date range that I want. In this case, I'm doing this year. And I'm going to get all the people who have activity that had that particular tracking item. I run the report, and then I can simply print them out. And this would be just the people that I'd wanted who had gotten the flag of wants paper statements. Parents who are using MyProCare could log into their MyProCare account, and they could print their own statements. For yourself as a center, you'd probably want to do a couple of things. One is, if you were going to write off some debt, you could come in and do something like a bad debt write-off. If you're not sure about the consequences of this, please ask your CPA, tax accountant, bookkeeper on how that would reflect itself in the books. The other thing you'd probably want is some year-end statements, and that would be under Reports, Standard Reports, and in the same location under Charge Credit Summary. So under Family Accounting, you could run the Charge Credit Summary, Specific Summary, Primary Accounts Only. If you also have agency accounting and you want a report either separate or with both totals, you'd come down to agency accounting and you'd run pretty much the same report, Charge Credit Summary, and you could say you wanted the Specific Summary agency only, or you could do Specific Summary primary and agency accounts. That's only if you've got agency and families. So for just your families, if that's what you had, again, the Specific Summary primary accounts only, you'd run it for the date range of the year that you had wanted. And when you run that report, you're going to have an exact count of any one charge, credit, payment, whatever, and you can double click on them if you had a question. So if you needed to know why was my tuition Wobblers $11,000, you can double click and get that detail. And that's true for all of the other items on here. So for instance, all of your payments that you received and posted during the year would also appear on this report. Another report that you might want to run for your accounting person is the Receivables Journal Summary. It basically is the same numbers that you would have gotten from the specific summaries, except it's put in a general ledger type of format. So you'd run that for the year. And this summarizes in a slightly different way. Let me center it here. The same items as before. The tuition totals would be the same, the activity fees and so on would be the same, but it just puts it in terms of general ledger numbers. So the payments here don't appear because some of them were deposited and some not, but the payments still are reflected in these numbers, and the accounts receivable is just balancing out all of the charges and credits. On any of these reports, you can either print them out or you can save them as a PDF. So for example, on a PDF, if I wanted to record every single charge and credit for every single parent, that would be quite a large report. But if I run that report and save it as a PDF, I've just got one little file and I don't need ProCare to read it. So for example, if I wanted to do something like account statements, standard customer statement for the year for everybody, or at least on the visible accounts, and I run that report, This is a lot of information for everybody, and I've got a lot of different people here, even on a small database. Instead of printing out all that paper, you can run the report, click on Export Report, pick the format you want. A nice format is a PDF. You could also export it as a number of other formats if you wanted to. Give it a name where you can find it, and maybe put it on a local desktop or wherever else you'd like. You can then share that with your accountant by emailing that PDF, and you'd have a record of things that would be independent of any program. All you'd need is the PDF to view it. And that's about it for the family data and accounting part.